I dare you to ask your doctor, what are the 4 phases of sexual pleasure? And when they stare at you blankly, show them what you know. What is up, sapiosexuals? Thank you for turning on Sex in South Beach with your girl, Dr. Sanjaya, America's only Ivy League educated sexologist and associate professor of medicine at the University of Miami. You know, the U up here in the sexiest city in America. So the sex situation we're getting into today is all about the sexual response cycle. Specifically, we're going to learn what happens in your body when you become sexually aroused and have an orgasm. And the reason this is so important for you to know is because sex is an important part of your overall health. And sexual functioning can be an important indicator of health. So, if you are not experiencing the various phases of the sexual response cycle, you may have an underlying medical condition that you need to address with your doctor. And if you are experiencing all the phases of the sexual response cycle in full force, boom! It's also pretty sweet to have a better understanding of the physiological changes that occur when you get sexually excited, boo. Knowledge is power, and you know this. Booyah! And guess what? Doctors know this too. And many are very, very smart. But unfortunately, most doctors do not know diddly about the sexual response cycle. And I know this is true because y'all know I'm a full-time professor at the University of Miami School of Medicine. And when I'm at work, I am always asking my medical colleagues what they know about sex. And guess what? Most of them don't know much. And it is not their fault. They are very, very bright people. It's just, y'all, you know this. America is a little late realizing that sexual health is part of our overall well-being. And because we are tardy when it comes to the sex education party, most medical schools haven't thoroughly incorporated sexual functioning into the medical curriculum. In fact, last year, I personally surveyed medical students about what they were learning in med school with regard to helping their future patients with sex issues. And guess what? Almost 70% had not been trained to ask about sex problems or sexual dysfunction. And what's even worse, 86% had not been trained to ask patients if they're satisfied with their sex life. What? Now, y'all, that is so sad because you want to be able to talk to your doctor about sex, right? So back to today's show. We're going to learn about the sexual response cycle because in today's America, you have to be in charge of your sexual health. I'm going to do my part to keep on educating future doctors about sex, and I hope you will too, because boo! If you keep on listening to this show, you are bound to become a sex expert. And you know, that is exactly what doctors need. Desire. Phase 1 of the sexual response cycle is desire. Now, desire can last a few minutes to several hours to several days if you play your sex cards right. Now, during phase 1, muscle tension increases, your heart rate quickens, your breathing becomes accelerated, and your skin can become colored with blotches of redness on your chest or your back. Nipples become hardened or erect, and blood flow to the genitals increases. Yes. And you know what? That makes a woman's clitoris and her labia minora, those inner lips, it makes those areas swell. And this is also the time when a man's penis becomes erect. Vaginal lubrication also begins during phase 1, and a woman's breasts become fuller. Yes, they become fuller with desire. And you know those vaginal walls, they also begin to swell as more blood rushes down towards where it needs to go. And the man's testicles, they also swell. His scrotum tightens, and he begins secreting a lubricating liquid. Arousal. Phase 2 of the sexual response cycle is arousal. And in case you're wondering what's the difference between arousal and desire, well, arousal is much more intense than desire. Arousal is it's a little closer to orgasm, And arousal, it cannot last for hours or days like desire can. Mm-mm-mm. Arousal is that exciting, eager, incredibly pleasurable feeling that makes you want to explode with all kinds of juicy goodness. During arousal, the vagina continues to swell from increased blood flow and the vaginal walls turn a dark purple. Mm. The woman's clitoris becomes highly sensitive, and some may even find it painful to the touch. And you know what? It retracts under the clitoral hood to avoid direct stimulation. Not too much, baby. The man's testicles are withdrawn up into the scrotum, and breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure, well, they all continue to increase during arousal. Muscle spasms may begin in the feet, face, hands, and I've heard from some of my clients, the legs can also get in on that spasm too. Oh, yeah. In fact, tension in all the muscles increases during arousal. You know what arousal really reminds me of? Have you ever seen someone get the Holy Ghost in church? Well, arousal's like that, but naked, in bed, and sometimes with another person. Orgasm. Yes, baby. Phase 3 of the sexual response cycle is orgasm. Because life is not fair, orgasm is, of course, the shortest of phases, and it lasts only a few seconds. Well, unless you're an incredibly fortunate female who's able to experience multiple back to back orgasms, which many women are capable of doing, given the right resources, of course. The right lover, the right toy. You get the point. Okay, back to what's going on in your body during the orgasmic phase. Well, involuntary muscle contractions begin, and your blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing, well, they are at their highest points with a rapid intake of oxygen. And the muscles in your feet start to spasm as well. There's just a sudden, forceful release of sexual tension. Now, in women, the muscles of the vagina also contract, and the uterus, well, it also undergoes rhythmic contractions during orgasm. Oh, yes. And in men, rhythmic contractions of the muscles at the base of the penis resulting in the ejaculation of semen. And for a lot of people, they get what's called a sex flush, sort of a temporary rash all over the body. Resolution or repeat. That's phase 4 of the sexual response cycle. Now, most textbooks would call this phase resolution, but that's because they were primarily written by and for men. You heard what I'm saying? Who do need a resolution period after orgasm. But women, well, there's lots of women out there who are ready for more after they experience their first orgasm. In fact, once a woman has an orgasm, she is often much more sensitive to sexual stimulation and thus much more likely to have another orgasm much easier than the first. And that is one reason why women who experience an orgasm from foreplay are also much more likely to experience an orgasm during penetrative sex. Read between the lines, people. That was an endorsement of oral sex before penetration, okay? Okay, back to phase 4, which most people will call the resolution phase. Now, during this phase, most men do need to take a nap. And like we just discussed, many women are ready for more, which, by the way, is a real good reason, ladies, for having a toy stocked right by your bedside, girl. Shoot, you can handle your own business while he rests. But for those who don't keep up with the sexual stimulation, the body will return to its normal functioning during the resolution phase. Changes in size and color will return to normal, and many times people just feel tired and want to nap it out while their body recovers. Regardless of how different phase 4 can be for different people, a major commonality is that everybody feels good during phase 4. Those feel-good hormones like serotonin, oxytocin, prolactin, phenethylamine, and dopamine, well, they have just exploded into your body during orgasm. And those naturally happy hormones, well, they make you feel way better than most drugs could. And I'm telling you from experience, y'all. So, boom, there you have it. Now you know the sexual response cycle and you can assess yourself to make sure that everything is on track with regards to your optimal sexual functioning. Sometimes an underlying health issue disrupts the sexual response cycle. So if your body does not experience these phases or respond to sexual stimuli, I highly encourage you to discuss this with your doctor. Did you know that erectile dysfunction is often the first sign of diabetes in men? When they can't get it up, they go to the doctors and boom, that's when they find out they got diabetes. Shoot. My point is, sexual health is part of your overall health. And if something's not right when you're trying to get freaky at night, you and your doctor need to have an important discussion. Yes, indeed. All right now, it's time for the climax when I give you a little something to remember about the sexual response cycle. 1. The sexual response cycle has 4 phases: desire, arousal, orgasm, and resolution. Both men and women experience these phases, although the timing is usually different. 2. It is unlikely that both people will have an orgasm at the same time, unless they've really been practicing at it. You know what I'm saying? Practice does make perfect. 3. Men, they often need to rest after an orgasm. And 4. Women can often experience another orgasm after the first, which is why you should give her an orgasm via foreplay prior to penetration. Booyah! For your daily dose of Nookie knowledge, check me out on all the social media networks. That's Dr. Sanjaya, DrSonJia, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Come on, baby. What you waiting for? You know it's time to link up. Y'all, I had so much fun chatting you up about the sexual response cycle, and I cannot wait to do it again. I am Dr. Sanjaya, America's sex educator. Thanks so much for tuning in to Sex in South Beach, where everyone comes for happier, healthier sex. Can you believe my 40-something-year-old friend accidentally got pregnant and she blames it on Sense aromatherapy body oil? Apparently her hubs massaged her with it while he was trying to get some, and they both got so turned on she ended up pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And since she thought she was done having babies, she is not pleased at all, and she blames it all on Sense. Meanwhile, I think it's hilarious. And it just shows how much Sense ignites desire in everybody who smells it. Smell good, feel good with Sense aromatherapy body oil. Get yours at sensebodyoil.com. That's SENSE bodyoil.com.